So I was talking with one of our forum members last night on the phone, and she was talking about the whole concept of self-love. Like, I don't really know what it means, it's so cliche these days. Love yourself, yeah, whatever. I mean, I'm pretty sure I love myself. How do I know? What does that mean? Like, how does it actually come into being? Like, how do I practice it? And I realize that how I practice self-love these days, and trust me, it's a practice. I don't have this mastered in the slightest, but I mean, it's a practice for a reason, because it's worth it and it feels good. And what that practice is accepting myself in every moment, or practicing accepting myself in every moment. Because I heard this this quote that love is attention without judgment, and that has stuck with me ever since I first heard it, because it's so perfect to describe what love is. It's me just being and having attention on something, myself, another person, a tree, and not judging it. The absence of judgment seems to be love. So that shows up in many different ways, like in day-to-day life. If I say something that I'm embarrassed about, that I think is stupid, to be like, oh, okay, I just said that thing, instead of, God, you're such an idiot. You can see how that shows up a lot. I mean, I catch myself all the time in how I treat myself, how I relate to myself. And whenever there can be an absence of judgment, and at least an absence of judgment, and then hopefully acceptance, then that's almost like, okay, corny alert, ready? It's almost like a flower and sunshine, and that the flower is blossoming in the sunshine. That the attention without judgment and the love, especially self-love, helps for me to blossom. And then when I show others that love, it helps them to blossom. And it's a beautiful cycle in that way. But self-love is ultimately self-acceptance. And that goes to herpes too, of course. I mean, this is a herpes blog. So accepting myself with herpes comes first, before anyone else is going to be able to accept me, really. Even if I'm completely not okay with myself and someone does accept me, the unacceptableness in myself is going to come out in the relationship, and the shame is going to come up. It's going to come up as disconnection and not really being able to be intimate with my partner. And there are all sorts of layers of self-acceptance that I can bring to myself, especially with herpes, because there happens to be such a stigma about it, and so much potential self-shame. So when someone rejects me, they're not really rejecting me. They're rejecting herpes. They're rejecting the stigma around herpes. Maybe they're rejecting me too. Maybe it's not all about the herpes, right? But the point is that when I or the herpes is rejected by somebody, where does self-acceptance come in there? Am I still able to accept myself in everything I am, everything that I know myself to be, and not have that person's opinion affect my opinion of myself, unless it serves me. Maybe someone else's opinion actually does help me to grow, helps me to see a side of myself that I hadn't seen before. But if someone else is reacting to the stigma of herpes and the shame of herpes, then to recognize that and maybe even have compassion for them for not knowing any better. For not knowing that herpes really isn't a big deal, that it's just an annoying skin condition, a skin rash. And to accept myself in the face of that, even rejection, to still accept myself and love myself and know who I am.